You thought he was perfect, small, fluffy, always with that sweet, almost human gaze. A couch companion, a lap dog, a life partner. That's what they promised you when you decided to bring a Shih Tzu home, but the reality, it bites differently. That ball of fur hides more layers than you imagine, and perhaps not all of them so enchanting. Between vet visits, unexpected temperaments, and a stubbornness that borders on the absurd, what started as a cute dream can easily turn into a daily challenge. In this video, you'll discover what they didn't tell you about this breed and why so many owners regret it. But first, let's understand who we're dealing with. The Shih Tzu looks like a living toy and for a long time was treated as such, small, usually up to 27 centimeters tall and weighing between 4 and 7 kilograms. It fits perfectly on the lap of those seeking affection, but doesn't always deliver what it promises. It's long, smooth, luxurious coat requires constant care, frequent baths, daily brushing, specific trims. One slip and it transforms from prince to shipwreck victim, affectionate in temperament, yes, but with the trait few mention, stubborn. The Shih Tzu knows what it wants and isn't afraid to show when it's not satisfied. Does it obey? Sometimes. Does it learn fast? Yes, if it wants to. Sociable, with whom it chooses. Life expectancy is around 10 to 16 years, which seems like a blessing, until you discover the emotional and financial cost of maintaining that life with quality. Because despite its fragile appearance, it can be surprisingly resistant, even too much so, to your attempts to set limits. But where did this little emperor disguised as a plush toy come from? The answer may be buried in the corridors of an ancient empire. They say the Shih Tzu was molded by the gods themselves, but the gods, it seems, had a peculiar sense of humor. The story begins in China, although its deepest roots may be in Tibet. There, in ancient Buddhist monasteries, it's believed that monks bred small, fluffy dogs as spiritual companions and symbolic guardians. These dogs, ancestors of what would later become the Shih Tzu, were not just pets. They were considered sacred creatures, living representatives of the protective lion of Oriental legends. But instead of roaring, they barked. Instead of hunting, they slept in the sun. Over the centuries, Tibetan dogs arrived at Chinese palaces as diplomatic gifts, and it was during the Ming Dynasty, around the 14th century, that the Shih Tzu truly began to take shape. Emperors, fascinated by their exotic appearance and almost theatrical behavior, began selective breeding to intensify their leonine features and calm temperament. The peak came during the Qing Dynasty. Empress Cixi, obsessed with beauty and mysticism, surrounded herself with Shih Tzus in the palace. They were pampered, dressed in jewels, fed exclusive recipes, and, they say, treated better than many court members. Only nobles had the right to own one. Any attempt at breeding outside imperial rules was severely punished. But this luxury came at a price. The breed became increasingly insular, limited to a few specimens and isolated from the outside world. When China plunged into wars and political changes, many of these dogs were lost. A few escaped to the West, carried by ambassadors and travelers who had no idea they were carrying an almost extinct fragment of an imperial lineage in their arms. These survivors were responsible for keeping alive the breed we know today. Already outside the palaces and isolation, the Shih Tzu began its journey of reinvention in the modern world. But it's impossible to ignore the contrast between its glorious past and the present, where, often, it is treated as a walking ornament still. Something remains in its gaze, something that seems to say, I was once adored like a god, today, I accept your caresses for now. But when did this little emperor trade the palaces of China for the stages of Western fame? The answer takes us to a time when he shone in the spotlight and began to win hearts, for better or worse. The Shih Tzu, until then confined to the corridors of Chinese palaces, found a new home and a new meaning under the spotlights of the West. It was in the late 19th century that this small dog of Oriental aristocracy invaded the salons of Europe, laden with mystical stories and an aura of nobility that attracted the attention of the upper classes. The decisive moment of its fame came when the Shih Tzu was introduced to England. Alongside other exotic dogs, the Shih Tzu captivated the nobility, especially among royal and aristocratic families. Queen Victoria, always attentive to the novelties of the time, was one of the first to be enchanted by this small being with dense fur and a deep gaze. With this, the Shih Tzu gained not only admirers, but also an almost royal mystique, a symbol of status, elegance, and, in some cases, vanity. In the early 20th century, the Shih Tzu was already present in major dog shows, where it charmed with its distinct appearance and calm temperament. It was in this context that the dog found its true consecration in the West. The famous and still celebrated lion look, its long fur that seemed to be sculpted by royalty itself, became an irresistible attraction. But fame has a price. At the same time that the breed stood out on the show runways, questions also rose about its health. Concerns about the cost of beauty, about the modifications made over the centuries to maintain its exotic appearance, began to haunt the breed's image. Still, the Shih Tzu shone, traversing decades as a symbol of luxury, elegance, and attached to the idea of the quintessential companion dog. But amidst the glamour, something was hidden in the shadows, something that time could not hide forever. What happens when fame begins to show its darker sides? The Shih Tzu, still affectionate, begins to carry a weight beyond its coat, and in the background, new problems begin to emerge, masked by the curtain of glamour. At the height of its popularity, the Shih Tzu seemed immune to the wear and tear of time. But, as with so many stories of fame, the reality turned out to be quite different. In the 1950s and 60s, the breed faced a silent crisis, almost forgotten and no longer among the elite dogs in dog shows. Behind its imposing coat and enchanting gaze, hidden problems began to emerge, and the breed was, for the most part, neglected. What happened? The Shih Tzu, with its extremely distinct appearance, became a target of criticism. On one hand, breed lovers began to question the ethics behind breeding dogs, as many breeders prioritized aesthetics over the animal's health. The Shih Tzu's popularity had led to its mass reproduction, but without a real concern for the breed's genetic aspects. This, over time, resulted in a series of hereditary problems, such as respiratory difficulties due to the flattened snout, as well as eye, joint, and even heart problems. Fame, which once brought pride, began to carry a shadow of criticism, both from veterinarians and dog lovers aware of the complications caused by these aesthetic modifications. The Shih Tzu found itself at the center of a controversy. While many tried to maintain the breed's glamour, others pointed out that its popularity was, in fact, putting the animal's health at risk. The breed almost disappeared from some parts of the world, being replaced by other companion dogs that, although less exotic, were seen as healthier and less problematic. However, the loyalty of Shih Tzu fans who adored the dog's personality kept it alive, but the price that loyalty exacted was high. Today, the breed continues to be a target of criticism, but also of a large movement advocating for awareness about responsible breeding. The question persists: to what extent are we willing to continue sacrificing animal health in the name of aesthetics? And the answer may not be simple. If you are also passionate about dogs, share your opinion in the comments about the changes breeds have undergone over the years. What characteristics do you think should be preserved? Leave your comment now. Caring for a Shih Tzu goes far beyond keeping it beautiful with that abundant, well-groomed coat. This breed requires daily attention, especially due to the health problems that are common among members of its lineage. Despite its charm and captivating personality, Shih Tzus are prone to a series of diseases, and many owners are not fully prepared for the care the breed demands. Firstly, the Shih Tzu's long, thick coat requires daily brushing. Without it, the hairs can tangle and, in more severe cases, lead to skin infections. This requires a routine of frequent bathing and grooming, which can be a challenge for those who don't have the time or inclination. Furthermore, the Shih Tzu has a unique physical structure with a short snout, which makes it prone to respiratory problems. This is known as brachycephalic syndrome, which can cause breathing difficulties, snoring, and even more serious problems like tracheal collapse. Another critical point is the predisposition to eye diseases such as cataracts and corneal ulcers, which are especially common due to the position of the Shih Tzu's eyes. Another essential care relates to the joints. The Shih Tzu can develop hip dysplasia or back problems such as disc herniation. Excess weight, often caused by inadequate feeding or lack of exercise, can aggravate these problems. Finally, dental diseases are frequent. Shih Tzus tend to accumulate tartar quickly, which can lead to periodontal diseases if there is no regular oral hygiene. It is essential that owners are aware of these care requirements to ensure a healthy and long life for their Shih Tzus. Do you have a Shih Tzu, or are you thinking of adopting one? Leave a comment telling us about your experience, or if you have any questions about the breed's care. Despite all the Shih Tzu's popularity, there are still mysterious aspects about this breed that intrigue both scientists and dog lovers. The genetics behind the Shih Tzu have been a subject of study, and to this day, there are some unanswered questions about how and why this particular breed develops some such unique characteristics. One of the biggest mysteries is the exact origin of the Shih Tzu, although it is known that the breed has a strong connection to the Chinese dynasty and was considered a symbol of status among royalty. The genetic variations that led to its formation are still not completely clear. Studies suggest that the Shih Tzu may have originated from the mixture of small dogs, like the Lhasa Apso and the Pekingese, but the degree of human intervention to perfect certain characteristics of the breed is an enigma that remains debated. Furthermore, the Shih Tzu's predisposition to respiratory problems, such as brachycephalic syndrome, raises scientific questions about the impact of selective breeding on its health. The fact that the breed was shaped to have such a short snout resulted in several respiratory complications, and to this day scientists are still trying to find ways to minimize these risks while maintaining the physical characteristics that made the Shih Tzu so popular. Another fascinating point is how Shih Tzus communicate with humans. Despite their cute and fragile appearance, these dogs are known for their strong personality and their ability to understand and respond to human emotions. This leads many to wonder to what extent the emotional intelligence of this breed has evolved, and how it compares to that of other breeds. As much as science has made significant advances, there is still much to be unraveled about Shih Tzus. Have you ever wondered about the mysteries of the Shih Tzu breed? What is the most fascinating characteristic of this breed for you? Comment below. Although the Shih Tzu is known for its affectionate temperament and loyalty, like any dog, it can also have its reasons for not liking its owner. Shih Tzus are quite sensitive, and often their attitude towards their owners can be influenced by behavioral and environmental factors. Here are 10 reasons why your Shih Tzu might not be so happy with you. 1. Lack of attention. The Shih Tzu loves affection and attention. If you are frequently busy or don't dedicate time to play with him, he may feel neglected and start to emotionally distance himself. 2. Excessive stress. These dogs are very sensitive to stress, and sudden changes in the environment or routine can make them anxious. which can affect their bond with you. 3. Lack of socialization. The Shih Tzu is a sociable dog. But if he is not well socialized with other dogs or people from a young age, he may develop fearful or aggressive behaviors, which can harm your relationship with the owner. 4. Harsh or rough treatment. The Shih Tzu does not respond well to severe commands or punishments. Aggressive training can push him away and generate distress. 5. Neglect of physical needs. Despite its small size, the Shih Tzu needs regular exercise. If he is not taken for walks or does not have opportunities to expend energy, he can become bored and frustrated. 6. Inconsistency in commands. If the owner is inconsistent in giving commands or rules, the Shih Tzu can get confused and lose respect, making the relationship difficult. 7. Excessive pampering. Although they love pampering, a Shih Tzu does not like to be treated like a baby all the time. When you treat him too protectively, he can become temperamental. Hate. Lack of respect for personal space. Shih Tzus, like other dogs, need their space. Constantly invading the animal's space can cause discomfort and attachment. 9. Untreated health problems. The Shih Tzu is prone to certain health conditions, such as skin and respiratory problems. Ignoring these signs can make him irritable or uncomfortable. 10. Changes in owner's behavior. The Shih Tzu is very attentive to its owner's behavior. Abrupt changes in mood or attitudes can confuse him and cause him to distance himself. Understanding your Shih Tzu's emotional and physical needs can help improve the relationship between you, creating a more harmonious environment for both. Do you have a Shih Tzu at home? Have you noticed any of these behaviors? Tell us in the comments. The Shih Tzu is a breed that, over the centuries, has conquered the hearts of many people around the world. Its charming personality, cute characteristics, and affectionate manner make it one of the most beloved dogs in history. However, as we have seen, the Shih Tzu's story is not only made of glamour behind its luxury dog appearance. There are many challenges, both for it and for its owner. And for some people, living with the breed can be more complex than imagined. But what few people know is that, behind all this history, there's an unresolved mystery. Something that even the greatest scholars of the breed have not been able to clarify to this day. How did the Shih Tzu, with its ancient and myth-filled origins, manage to survive modernity and still maintain its unique characteristics? What are the secrets behind its complex behavior and why? Sometimes, can it be an enigma to its own owners? Are we just scratching the surface of a deeper truth, something that still needs to be discovered? And what does this mean for the future of Shih Tzus? There are mysteries that we still need to understand and explore. If you think you already know everything about the Shih Tzu, get ready. In a future episode, we will delve into something that can change everything you knew about this fascinating breed. Something that, until now, has never been revealed. Stay tuned. So, did you already know all this about the Shih Tzu? Leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, with more revealing secrets about the dogs that have marked our history.